Good morning, everybody. The most requested build I have received in the past several months has been for Fey Dark Illusionist Two-Handed Paladin. Ever since the release of the Charisma to Hit and Damage tree, a lot of people have wanted to see Two-Handed Fighter Paladin, Fey Dark Illusionist Paladin, Strimtom. Where is the Two-Handed Fighter Fey Dark Illusionist Paladin? I heard it's really good. What do you think? Well, I do have an answer for you. Fey Dark Illusionist Two-Handed Paladin is literally everywhere. Billions upon billions of people are playing this build. It's super flavor of the month. If you're level 30 on any server, you're going to run into these paladins all over the place slamming through stuff. It's extremely powerful, and not only did paladins get buffed with Knight of the Chalice tree and the strike through bonuses, but having all the charisma available to scale every single thing off of one stat, just charisma, no need for strength, has made paladins into a very, very, very strong contender for a top endgame DPS and made it very, very versatile. So while I could make a two-handed fighter paladin build and show you what the absolute endgame top end is, other people have already done that, and it's a very, very popular build. So what I decided to do instead was to take a character and do it the other way around. So I created a paladin that has no past lives because it was a brand new first life character. That's right, this character is a Paladin, a Dragonborn first life character using the Fey Dark Illusionist tree to get charisma to hit and damage, no tomes, no special items. The notes about this character is that I didn't take a single item out of the bank or anything like that, nothing transferred to any other character. I could only use what I picked up for the entire experience going through the game to see what this would be like if somebody installed Dungeons & Dragons Online onto their friggin' DDO machine, bought the Feywild expansion, had access to the Fey Dark Illusionist tree, and we're like, alright, this is great, let's play this thing, let's see how it is. And so that is what I have for you. A first life friendly, easy to play Fey Dark Illusionist Paladin build. Now this build was extremely fun to play, and if you ever want to see it in action when I'm doing these types of builds, make sure you check out the live stream at twitch.tv/Strimtom, link appearing on the screen right now, so that way you don't miss a second of some of that fun exploratory content and good insights. The build was very, very easy to level and really fun to play. Strike Through is amazing, allowing you to hit multiple monsters at the same time with your big freaking sword. On top of that, the Knight of the Chalice tree, letting you get Greatsword as a favorite weapon, means that with this character, I didn't need to care about which religion I took, allowing me to take Sovereign Host. On top of that, the Fey Dark Illusionist tree gave me access to charisma to hit and damage, so while I didn't need it right away, being a first life character, your strength and your charisma are going to be close to the same, since this character started with a 17 strength and an 18 charisma to be able to hit all of the feats. Oftentimes you'll find that your strength in the early levels is about the same as your charisma, so you don't really need to focus all in on charisma. I did swap into charisma to hit and damage around, I think, level 7 or 8, at which point I had enough points to be able to grab charisma to hit and damage and also some of the fun stuff out of the Knight of the Chalice tree. This character was very tanky and easy to level because not only did I have extra spell points so I could heal myself, but the Paladin gets a lot of healing amplification. On top of that, I spent a lot of points in the Sacred Defender tree to get the extra lay on hands, the extra physical and magical resistance rating, the constitution, and the additional health. And generally you would want to take extra strength out of the Sacred Defender tree using the Sacred Defense stance. But since I don't use strength for this build, I just took more constitution, landing my first life character with almost 800 health when I got to level 20, while still doing pretty good Paladin damage. Now, one of the important things about this character is I actually didn't take any of the cleave effects. No cleave from the tree, and no cleave from my feats. This isn't just because Strike Through is really powerful. I mean, of course, Strike Through is good and allows you to hit multiple targets, which is great. However, the main reason why I didn't take this in anywhere else is because you actually do get some interesting cleaves on this character. Exalted Smite, one of the abilities in the Paladin Knight of the Chalice tree, is actually a full frontal cleave. It doesn't say that, but trust me, it is. It hits everything in front of you, and even sometimes things behind you. The targeting is really wonky, but you know what? I'm not going to complain about getting an extremely high damage cleave. On top of that, you have the top tier ability, the Divine Retribution, which allows you to slam targets and instantly kill them if they're evil. But if they're not evil, it's still a full frontal cleave, and it gives you a use back of your Smite evil, allowing you to just kind of cleave back and forth. As a result, I never really felt like this character needed any more AoE damage, so I didn't put any points in. So instead of taking the cleaves, I put more points in the Sacred Defender tree, allowing this character to get extra hit points, as well as some more lay on hands, and be super, super durable. This character had no issue with soloing. There definitely were some points as I got closer towards the end game where this character started to slow down a little bit, just because when you start fighting monsters that have 3,000 health on them in heroics, it starts to slow down with this character when you crit for about 400. It's not that it doesn't work. You can keep chopping them away, and they will never kill you. This character is so insanely tanky with all the physical physical and magical resistance rating on it, that death almost never was an option for me. But it did come with the unfortunate downside of just sometimes you gotta keep wailing on monsters. However, whenever you got the opportunity to fight undead or outsiders, picking up that extra melee power from Ascendancy felt oh so good. The low-level leveling process was really easy. You just hit people and you can heal yourself instantaneously with your lay on hands. Grabbing a couple wands with whatever spare gold I had allowed me to heal myself and my allies as I continued to level up. And by the time you hit level 12, then it just turns into easy street and you start instantly killing all the monsters before you. Whether Fey Dark Illusionist Paladin or regular Paladin, I think that Paladin's a really strong class right now, especially as a beginner and somebody who's new to the game. And I think that if you haven't given a chance to try out Paladin, this could be a fun way to do it. Important note with this build, because I'm trying to maximize charisma and strength, I went with Dragonborn. I don't think that you necessarily need a Dragonborn to play this character. However, if you have no tomes, it makes it so much stronger to do, since this character has a requirement of getting a 17 strength to take all the two-handed fighting feats, and you don't use strength to hit and damage, so putting so many points into strength, especially on like a human or another race, that's 13 of your enhanced or your starter base points going straight into strength, a stat you don't want to use. One of the reasons why this character is so strong is because you can start out with a strength of 14 on a character like this if you happen to have extra tomes and be able to take all of the feats, which is one of the reasons why Fey Dark Illusionist Paladin is amazing if you have a bunch of tomes, but that's no real secret there. Paladin is one of those classes that's always been good if you have a whole bunch of tomes because they need every stat in the entire game. You need strength to hit, traditionally. You need dexterity for precision. You need constitution for health. You need wisdom for your spell casting and some of your saves. You need charisma for everything else. However, no past lives, no tomes. This character still destroyed its way through the game with no issue whatsoever. And I'd like to share with you the exact build that I used so you can do that yourself. If you're looking for a super endgame based guide, you're not going to find that here per se, although I will include what I would do in the physical write-up, which you can find in a link below. So that way, if you're like, okay, I do want to carry this character all the way through, it will have an itemization list as well as what feats you should take going all the way to level 30 and what you should use for your epic destinies. So now I'm going to turn it over to me with the build. If you'd like to join the Divine Order and play as a paladin yourself, specifically a very charismatic paladin, then do I have the build for you. Right before your eyes, as you can see here, we've got a charisma-based paladin, standing next to, of course, my boy, Kaflin Riek at Coronath, the most opulent temple in all of Sharn. And today, I'm going to show you exactly how to build yourself a paladin so that you can breeze through the game and have a great experience, just like I did. So, this character is a First Life paladin. Mike Butler, Alk is dead. If you're watching this video and you don't get it, Alk is dead is a joke. I'm making fun of people that think Alk is dead, because it's not going to be. After the changes that are coming in a week or so, or maybe even out by the time this video comes out. But anyways, charisma-based paladin, charisma being the main stat. The reason you want charisma as your main stat is because charisma scales your bonuses to saves as a paladin from the ability Divine Grace, while granting you a bonus to your saving throws based on your charisma. It scales your Lay on Hands, which is your ability to heal yourself. It scales your Smite Evil, and then of course, that's all just enough good things to make it so if you can scale your attack off of it too, that's too many good things to count. So we use this instead of strength. However, you do need to start with a 17 strength, which is why I went with Dragonborn. Starting with the 17 strength allows me to take all of the different two-handed fighting feats. It's one of the reasons why usually a lot of people who play Paladin use tomes, so that way they can skip a lot of the higher strength requirements, but that's okay. We're still doing that anyway. Now, with that being said, this character, I started with a 17 strength, I started with a 16 con, and an 18 charisma. If you wanted to play this character and you don't have a 32-point build, just reduce your constitution a little bit so that way you can fit all your points in. Anyway, this is where I kind of end up with some of the stats. As far as skills go, I put all my points into Use Magic Device. You don't really need any other skills for the most part on Paladin. In essence, you don't really need Use Magic Device that much. You only need to really get about 20 to be able to use Shield Wands, but I wanted to have more just in case I wanted to use some other stuff. Especially as you go deeper into the endgame, having the ability to use Tensor's Transformation Scrolls on yourself or Greater Heroism is very, very useful for this type of character. As far as the feats go, I started with my first feat as a combat style feat being two-handed fighting at level 1. Then, so I could access to the Fey Dark Illusionist Tree, I took the spellcasting feat Magical Training, which not only gave extra spell points, but also then just allows access to the Fey Dark Illusionist Tree. At 6, I picked up Improved Two-Handed Fighting. At 9, Improved Critical Slashing. At 12, Greater Two-Handed Fighting. And then for my 15 and 18 feats, I decided to go with a little bit extra damage, so I went with the Deity feats, Beloved of the Divine and Child of Faith. Both of these grant +2 to hit and damage with my Greatsword, so 2 feats for +4 to hit and damage. I felt it was good enough. There's probably something that's better, but you can't really complain about that. As you move into the epics, you're going to take pretty much everything that every single other character takes in epics, which would happen to be overwhelming critical at 21, any feat you want, it doesn't matter, at 24, perfect two-handed fighting at level 26, any feat you want at 27. I would preferably probably take epic either fortitude, reflex, or will, since paladins have such good saves and not feeling a save on a 1 is really powerful. Then at 28, you take perfect 2-weapon fighting, allowing you to get extra extra double strike chance. At 29, you pick up Dire Charge, and at 30, you pick up Scion of Arborea and one of the other epic feats, save feats to get no fail on a 1. Now, as far as the spells go, I didn't even pick my last spell, but paladins have a couple really good spells that help you carry yourself through a lot of the game. Right away, I was using Bless. Bless grants a +1 to attack rolls and an additional +5 per 5 cast level, or +1 per 5 cast levels. So when you get this spell at 4, it's +1 to hit. When you take level 5, this becomes +2 to hit. Right now, as a level 20 character, this gives me +5 to hit, which is pretty good. After that, you also get Righteous Command, which is an amazing paladin spell that grants 1 melee power per level up to 15. It's basically just 15 melee power. Pretty cool, right? And then we grab Stone Skin. Sorry, not Stone Skin, Angel Skin. I don't know why I said Stone Skin. It looks like the Stone Skin visual. But Angel Skin, which grants +1 racial bonus to physical and magical ratings, resistance ratings per caster level. Now, this ability gives you 20 at level 20, and it's important to note it's a racial bonus, which basically stacks with everything, which means paladins are picking up this extra bonus for free on top of the already defensive stats they pick up from their Stalwart or Sacred Defense tree. Now, I went deep in the Sacred Defense tree, so I wanted to take some of the Raise Dead spells, of course, grabbing some healing, and then just like with Bless, Prayer was updated, so it increases based on your level. So now, as a 20th level Paladin, this grants a +5 luck bonus to hit, damage, and saving throws for me and all my friends. So by casting Prayer, and not only does that work, it also increases my skill checks. So by giving myself a +5 to all my skill checks with Prayer, I can then take this and use this to more easily hit use magic device targets, such as for things during the leveling process, like Greater Heroism Scrolls, if you happen to have more charisma than I do. And then finally, for your top tier spells, you grab Holy Sword, because Holy Sword is like one of the best things in the game, increasing your damage by a tremendous amount, and then Zeal is 10% double strike. I like Death Ward here, and then as for your last spell, you have a couple different options. I would personally probably take True Resurrection here, just so you have a better Resurrection in combat, although alternatively you could also, instead of True Resurrection, go ahead and take Restoration, although since you're a Paladin, you can just grab Scrolls of Restoration and call it a day, and find a little bit more success there. You could also take your serious wounds if you want to. Now moving on to the Enhancement Tree, this is how I have the Enhancement Tree set up. This is a really good leveling and also questing enhancement tree, so for doing like Reaper mode quests. I don't recommend using this tree for raids, and I'll get into why in a minute, but the way that this tree essentially works, Knight of the Chalice here is doing a lot of the important work, giving us extra damage with our favorite weapons, attack and damage with all weapons, attack and damage, As well, you want to get Holy Combatant soon, they'll give you Greatsword as a favorite weapon. This character is Sovereign Host, which means I use longswords as my favorite weapon. But paladins get lots of different weapons as their favorite weapons anyway, and the greatsword here is very, very helpful, so you want to grab this sooner rather than later, as your favorite weapon is very important as paladin. The reason why it matters a lot is this ability here, Ascendancy, where it says whenever you attack an undead or evil outsider with a favorite weapon, you gain a stack of Blessed Purpose, which is +3 sacred bonus to melee power. The reason why this matters is if you hit monsters a lot, you get a lot of melee power. In fact, with your capstone, which is one of the reasons why paladins can make really good characters if you just stay as a paladin, it stacks up to 25 times. So if you happen to be doing a raid that features a powerful undead or other, evil outsider demon-like creature, like say, for example, Vision of Destruction, then all of a sudden your character's rocking 75 bonus melee power over the next Joker standing next to you. It's not too bad. So you want to make sure you're picking this up. You get other things like Divine Might, which allows you to scale your charisma into your different extra damage, which is another reason why you want to scale it. This gives you an insight bonus to your attack and damage and DC of tactical feats, all things that come together into one. And then of course you get the Exalted Smite to increase your smite damage. This tree that I have built here takes all the melee power and everything important. One of the things I don't take is the Strike Through. The Strike Through is good, and I also don't take the Cleaves. You might find that kind of confusing, but I never really found that I needed the Cleaves too much. For the most part, if you didn't know, Exalted Smite is actually a full frontal cleave and hits all monsters in front of you. It doesn't say that. I don't know why it doesn't say that, but it doesn't do that. It doesn't hit one monster or just, is an attack. It's actually a full frontal cleave, which makes it very useful. On top of that, you've also got Holy Retribution, which is also a full frontal cleave, so it gets you the ability to hit pretty much every monster you want all at the same time, which is pretty great. On top of that, it instant kills monsters and does a whole bunch of damage even if they don't get instant killed. So combined with that, I never really felt like I had the need to actually take any additional cleave attacks. Now, one of the things you want to do pretty soon with your character build, I did this around, I think, level 6 or 7. I grabbed Fey Dark Illusionist, getting the Charisma to hit and damage. Since you start with a 17 Strength and an 18 Charisma on this character, you're going to find yourself in a lot of situations where it's pretty even your Strength and your Charisma while you're low level, so you don't have to worry about it right away. But again, 6 or 7, I was picking up the Familiar's Flourish here. And then lastly, we spend points in the Sacred Defender tree. The reason for this is because it gives you so much extra tankiness, like so much. From the Sacred Defense tree, with this ability, we're picking up an extra 25 physical and magical resistance rating while in Sacred Defense, as well as 20% health, and 6 extra constitution, 10% movement speed, the extra +3 to all saving throws for you and all your friends, and then 5 physical magical resistance rating, the ability to cast the Raise Dead spells from your actual spell list, which is super convenient, and then this glorious stand for an extra 3 lay on hands and 25 healing hand, as well as 10% extra hit points and some more physical magical resistance rating. As a result, my character is a first lifer wearing very bare bones gear, and I have 700 hit points without even an Epic Destiny selected. So this feels really powerful for me. Your character is able to kind of just stand with the monsters, having a good amount of melee power and feeling really tanky and defensive. And again, important note, when I built this character, I played it as a first life character, no tomes, and I went through with absolutely no special items ahead of time. I just picked up what I got from quests and played around with it. So I've got a plate mail, the Barovian Lord I got from Ravenloft, but most of my items, like this is level 5, Death Block and Fortification. I got this Arcanus Ring for Charisma and False Life that I found. I got Devotion Gloves because I wanted Devotion. Just before I took Cap, I got these Con Strength Belt. So most of my items are just stuff that I picked up along the way. There's my Accuracy 3. Those are the best goggles I could pick up the entire time while leveling. And it didn't really matter too much. My character just felt really strong and really good. Plus 56 to hit might not seem like a big deal here, but that's because I don't have any of my buffs up. Paladin is all about situations. So if I actually just max out my stats, let's just cast the old Zeal, the Righteous Command, the Angel's Skin, the Holy Sword, the Bless, the Magic Circle against Evil, the Death Ward, and then finally the Prayer, and the Divine Might. Now my hit chance is up way higher, it's 74, so it's gone up a bunch of points. We're plus 59 to damage. On top of that, I'm 113 physical resistance rating and 73 magical, with barely any items to support this. My melee power is 41. We got the extra double strike. The character just suddenly feels a lot stronger, and look at all these saves. Even still, just going into epics, my character can make some saves in epic elites now, even without any of the extra stats from being in an actual epic destiny. So yeah. So that's kind of the character. That's how I would build it if you're looking at that. As far as Epic Destinies, I was a bonehead and I forgot to actually take the Epic Destiny ability, so I can't actually show you right now because I'm inside of a dungeon and that doesn't work. However, that's not the point. If you want to play in an Epic Destiny, a lot of people have been playing Paladin and Fatesinger because of the extra charisma, as well as being able to use the capstone or the top ability Turn the Tide for Fatesinger to do a lot of damage. I think that's a good option. Whether you decide to play this character in Fatesinger, Divine Crusader, or Fury of the Wild, or the Legendary Dreadnought, all of them will feel successful. However, I want to point out two things. Number one, for Endgame, you're probably going to find the best mileage out of Fury of the Wild and Divine Crusader. Not Divine Crusader, sorry. Fatesinger. Those things are going to be the best. And second, if you do want to get into raiding, and this is why I wanted to bring it up, this ability, Sacred Defense, is cool, but it gives you 150% bonus threat generation, which means if you had this turned on during a raid, the raid boss is going to turn around and kill you. And then he's going to kill all your friends because you're standing behind the boss and you're ripping aggro off of the tank. It's very important not to have a defensive stance if you want to play an offensive character in this game, which is one of the reasons why you can still use epic defensive fighting to get your health. But that means that you actually don't get hardy defense. That actually means you don't get tenacious defense, which is why a lot of Paladin players end up not putting a lot of points in the Sacred Defender tree and instead put their points other places. So this build is really good for solo play, low-level group play, even low-level raids to a point. But if you're doing like raids on Reaper or higher, you really got to be mindful about how much aggro you're pulling. So either use a lot of filigrees to try to reduce your aggro and other aggro reducing abilities, or you got to skip out of this one and figure out where to put your points other than Sacred Defender. Anyways, that's everything you need to know about Paladin. So if you want to see more, make sure you check out other videos on the channel where I'm going to post more Paladin videos about things that aren't two-handed Fey Dark Illusionist Paladin. But my conclusion is it was really easy to level, it was really fun to play, and I think you'll like it a lot. Unless you won't like it because you don't like melee, and you don't like Paladin, the aesthetic, maybe you don't like the swoosh swoosh Paladin. As far as the other way to play Fey Dark Paladin, people want to use the short swords, go for it. It's going to be probably more single target damage, less AoE. It's not going to feel as fun to level, but you'll chop down bosses real good, so there you go. Anyway, that's it. If you like what you see, make sure you follow the channel, subscribe, and if you really want to see this content and you're like, man, I wonder how this character actually performs level 1 to 20, because I saw those clips and that wasn't enough, then make sure to join me on my Twitch channel at twitch.tv/Strimtom. Video or image going to appear on the screen somewhere right over here. You're going to see it, and you gotta get in there. You gotta join up, because we stream 6 days a week, so that way you can get the most fun content beamed straight into your veins, and you can get all the fun, good DDO content, build ideas, bad ideas. It doesn't matter. It all comes together. That's all I have for you today. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video where I play a worse character. Bye-bye.